In a quiet village near a mountain range, there was a Zen monastery that was known for its unique teaching methods. The master of this monastery, Master Hiroshi, was known not just for his wisdom, but also for his ability to understand people without them saying a word. It was said that he could read people's thoughts and feelings just by observing them, and many came to him hoping to learn this skill. One day, a young man named Kenji arrived at the monastery. He was curious and ambitious, and he wanted to learn how to read people's minds. Kenji believed that if he could master this skill, he could become more successful in his work and his relationships. He approached Master Hiroshi with great eagerness and said, "Master, I have heard that you can understand people's thoughts just by looking at them. Can you teach me how to do that?" Master Hiroshi smiled and nodded. "Yes, I can teach you, but it is not what you think. Reading minds is not about hearing people's thoughts. It is about understanding what they do not say." Kenji was puzzled by this. "What do you mean?" he asked. "How can I understand what someone does not say?" The master gestured for Kenji to follow him, and they walked to a small garden behind the monastery. The garden was peaceful, with a gentle stream flowing through it, and there were birds chirping softly in the trees. Master Hiroshi sat down by the stream, and Kenji sat beside him. "Look at the water," said the master. "It flows naturally, following the path of least resistance. It does not force its way through the rocks, but it finds its way around them. People are like water. They may not always say what they feel, but their actions, their expressions, and their gestures will reveal their true emotions. To read someone's mind, you must learn to see what is beneath the surface." Kenji listened carefully, but he was still not sure how to apply the master's words. "Can you give me an example?" he asked. Master Hiroshi nodded. "Let me tell you a story. Once, a traveler came to me, looking very anxious. He said he wanted to ask for my advice, but he did not tell me what was troubling him. Instead of asking him directly, I watched him. I noticed that his hands were clenched tightly, his shoulders were tense, and he kept glancing at the ground. From this, I understood that he was carrying a burden, something that was weighing heavily on his mind. I asked him, "What are you afraid to lose?" His eyes widened in surprise, and he said, "How did you know?" Kenji thought about this for a moment. "So you were able to understand what he was feeling just by observing his body language?" "Yes," said the master. "Our bodies speak even when our mouths do not. When someone is anxious, their hands may tremble, their posture may become stiff, and they may avoid eye contact. When someone is happy, their face will light up, their movements will be more relaxed, and their eyes will shine." Learning to read these signs is not about magic. It is about paying attention. "But how can I get better at this?" Kenji asked. "I have tried to understand people before, but I always feel like I am missing something." Master Hiroshi smiled. "The key is to observe without judgment. When you look at someone, do not try to guess what they are thinking. Instead, notice how they carry themselves, how they move, how they react to different situations. Are their shoulders relaxed or tense? Do they make eye contact, or do they look away? Is their smile genuine, or does it seem forced? These small details will tell you more than words ever could." The master then pointed to a bird perched on a branch nearby. "Look at that bird," he said. "It is still, but its eyes are always moving, watching, noticing everything around it. That is how you must be if you want to understand people. You must learn to watch without interrupting, to listen without needing to respond." Kenji watched the bird, trying to understand what the master meant. For a few moments he said nothing, just observing the way the bird tilted its head, the way it scanned its surroundings. Suddenly, he realized something. The bird is not thinking about what it sees, it is just seeing it, he said. "Exactly," said Master Hiroshi. Most of us do not truly see what is in front of us because we are too busy thinking about what we expect to see. When you learn to observe without expectation, you will begin to see things as they really are. You will notice the subtle ways people express themselves, and you will be able to understand their emotions without them having to say a word. Kenji nodded, starting to understand. So it is not just about looking. It is about seeing clearly, without letting my own thoughts get in the way. Yes, said the master. And it is also about empathy. When you see someone who is sad, do not just observe their sadness. Feel it. When someone is angry, do not just see their anger. Understand where it is coming from. This is how you read someone's mind, not by hearing their thoughts, but by feeling what they feel. Kenji spent the next few weeks practicing what the master had taught him. He would sit in the marketplace, watching the people who passed by. At first, it was difficult. He kept getting distracted by his own thoughts. But slowly, he learned to quiet his mind and just observe. He noticed how a mother's eyes softened when she looked at her child, how a shopkeeper's smile faded when a customer walked away without buying anything, how a man's posture straightened when he saw a friend approaching. The more Kenji practiced, the more he realized that people were always communicating, even when they were silent. Their bodies, their expressions, and their gestures told stories that words never could. He began to understand that true understanding came not from hearing someone's thoughts, but from seeing their feelings. One day, Kenji returned to Master Hiroshi and bowed deeply. "Master," he said, "I think I understand now." It is not about reading minds. It is about reading hearts. When I see someone, I must see them with my heart, not just my eyes. Master Hiroshi smiled, his eyes twinkling with approval. "Well done, Kenji. You have learned the most important lesson. When you listen with your heart, you will understand more than words can ever tell you. You will see the unspoken, feel the unseen, and in that, you will find true connection with others." Moral of the story: understanding others is not about hearing their thoughts, but about observing their actions, gestures, and expressions. To truly read someone's mind, you must learn to see with your heart and listen with empathy. Pay attention to the subtle cues, the way they move, the way they smile, the way their eyes speak. When you observe without judgment and feel with empathy, you will understand what lies beneath the surface, and that understanding will allow you to connect with others on a deeper level.